Nope, those aren't mine. Okay, I'm live. That was really fast. Hopefully, this is broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. You might notice this looks a little different than it has if you've been watching us the past couple days. Thanks so much for watching. Today is April 4th, 2020. It's a Saturday, and it's about 1 minute till 8. So we're testing, make sure we're actually live. Brandon's going to give me the thumbs up once he confirms that we're on the Facebooks. I did. It says I've been live for 39 seconds and it's counting up. So we'll see if I'm really live. If I am, I think there's a way you can comment and let me know if you're seeing this. That would be great. So actually, it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and start and hope that I'm live. Okay, I got a thumbs up from Brandon. We'll find out. So I'm Amanda Neely with Grandma's Wealth Wisdom. We're doing this live every day through the month of April at 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. This is the first time, day 4, that we actually got live on both at the same time because we signed up for a service to help us do that and paid some money for it. And so we're here. Today, the question is going to be, how might you use your home to help you get through this crisis in more ways than just using it to shelter in place? And particularly how your home might help you manage your money during this crisis. So this is going to be very geared toward home owners. If you are a renter, there's plenty of things you can do, talking with your landlord, asking for, deferment on your rent if you need to, negotiate, see what's happening. I've heard some really cool stories of landlords who rent to immigrants, who a lot of immigrants have lost their jobs. Those landlords, if they're able to, have just given them months of free rent. So if I'm not in a position to do that, right? I'm not a landlord. You're in the place where you've lost a job, you really can't make rent, this video isn't going to help you that much. So go ahead, skip to tomorrow or a future day. Today, I want to really talk to the homeowners. And whether you are still making money, you still maybe are able to work from home, or you have a job that's considered essential that you go out to, or maybe you're not working, but you still have a mortgage to pay. This video really is for you. And before we get to the actual tofu and potatoes of the conversation today, I want to give some hope, especially as kind of waiting, see if anybody shows up live. It's a Saturday night, 8 o'clock. When we're doing this live, so I don't know if we'll have anybody live, but wanted to give a call or let people do that if they're going to. And also bring some real hope that comes from past generations, comes from a long time ago, that can speak into what we're doing today, and what we're going through. And I have this quote today. This one is from G.K. Chesterton. Sorry, G.K. G.K. Chesterton. And G.K., this quote, this is the quote of G.K. The home is not the one tame place in the world of adventure. It is the one wild place in the world of rules and set tasks. I'm going to read it again. The world is not the one tame place in the world, the home is not the one tame place in the world of adventure. It is the one wild place in the world of rules and set tasks. I really love that picture, especially when you think of what we're going through right now. Our home is when you're outside your home, there's all kinds of set rules, social distancing, staying 6 feet apart, making sure you don't touch your face, all these rules that you have to follow that are really important and that you want to make sure you're set on them. And when you do go out, you've got to set a task that you are there to accomplish, like buy groceries or get food for your family, pick up prescriptions, do essential tasks, go to work, that kind of thing. Don't like just go really nilly-willy, except for maybe a walk in your neighborhood, which we've been doing a lot. But when you're in your home, like you get home, maybe you wash your hands, change your clothes, make sure there's no coronavirus happening. You can like let your hair down and have fun and be wild. And I've heard like families are recording dance videos and doing this dance challenge and like just like being silly and having fun within our homes. And that I think is a great way to think about our home. It's the place where we can be our true selves and the place where we can be wild. Um, and in this world that, we've got to be strict and follow the rules with that. So hope you find some encouragement there, whatever it means for you in this time to experience some wild at home. I hope that you'll go wild in that. And let me know, comment, tell me like, here's how we're going wild at home or doing something fun that we can't do in our home that right now we literally can't do anywhere else. Okay. So comment, let me know those things. And then while you're thinking about that, I want to start to shift gears now to this question of how could your home help you get through this crisis, and more than just helping you shelter in place, having a safe place you can go to, we don't have to worry about and catching a disease. And that is, there's actually a lot that we could talk about. And the one thing in particular is that if you have some equity in your home, you've been paying your mortgage, you've lived there for a couple years, you had a nice down payment when you started, maybe more than a couple years that you've lived there. But if you've built up some equity in your home, maybe you bought your home and it's increased in value, and that's why you have some equity. But if you have that equity position, this might be a really great time to look into doing a refinance of your mortgage. And in particular, you have the option to do a cash out refinance of your mortgage. And when I bring this up to some people, because of kind of our human nature, not wanting to be in debt, not wanting to owe money to anyone else, we think, no, I need to pay off my mortgage as quickly as I can. What's the sense in refinancing, or especially doing a cash out refinance where I actually take the equity of my home and get cash for it that I can use for something else? I would only do that if I were really indeed in crisis and really, really, really needed the money. That's what most people kind of intuitively would say. And I think that's really smart. But this is one of those things that if we look back at our grandparents, especially the greatest generation during the Depression, the idea of owning your own home, never being homeless, having that piece of land that's yours, that was really important to them. But that's also when they started changing the rules about mortgages. And this is one of those, we take grandma's wisdom, her wealth wisdom, and we apply it to our current situation. And currently, if you have a mortgage and you're paying your mortgage and your home value dips really low, like maybe half of what you owe on your mortgage even then, the bank can't come and take your home away from you as long as you're making the payments and you're fulfilling the contract that you had originally. That hasn't always been true, but that's true today. So there's not really a risk of, what they call a callable mortgage. That's, if it's your primary residence, you're living in it, that's not really anything that can happen now. But you still got to be able to pay your mortgage. So this is where we use this phrase, use debt wisely. And you got to be smart about it. You got to have some stable ways to do it. You don't want to risk everything, take out a whole bunch of money from a cash out refinance of your mortgage and go invest in the stock market. That's not what we're talking about here. But let me show you what I kind of mean here. And I'm going to use a little bit of math. Please forgive me. I'm going to try to draw this for you, and I'm hoping it's going to work. So you got this pink space on your screen. And let's say over here, you've got your house. Brandon, give me a thumbs up if you can see that house, if it pops up. And then over here, you've got a bucket. It's not popping up yet. Maybe it's still loading. Whoop. My bucket was going topsy-turvy of money. Oh, and my bucket. Let's see. I guess, yeah, I'm seeing it. Maybe it's just taking a minute to get through the interwebs. Okay, so you got your house and you got a bucket of money over here. Okay, now let's say your house, just for fun, you owe $100,000 on it. I love that this sketching tool is correcting my sketches and making them look better. You can tell I didn't go to art school here. And then let's say over here in this bucket of money, you've got $100,000 as well. So if you had this money today, whoops, it doesn't like my S there. Okay, if you had this money today and you had $100,000 on your mortgage, this is a negative and this is a plus over here. Would you take out this $100,000 and pay off your mortgage? Probably. Because your mortgage, let's say you've got 4% interest on that, and this $100 just sitting in a bucket, it's not earning you anything, right? But what if, let's go ahead and write that down. 4% over here, 4% interest. What if this bucket of money over here was earning you 3% interest? Actually, no, let's go back. Let's say it's earning you 5% interest. So you could take this thing that is earning you 5% interest and pay off a debt that's 4% interest. Would you do that? Most people tell me no, because they can, that 100,000 a year from now is going to get 5% simple interest or 5% interest on it. So it's going to become maybe 105,000. I didn't actually do this math ahead of time. Whereas my 100,000 over here, it's only 4% interest. And so that might just be 4,000. So I want to make 5,000, even if I pay 4,000, because I'm going to net $1,000, right? That sounds really good. But what if, let me erase this 5%. What if this was 3%? That you found a place you could get 3% growth on your money over time. Most people, when you just look at this, it's like, oh no, I would not do that. I would totally sacrifice 3% interest to stop paying 4% interest. There's a 1% interest difference in there. But if you actually look at the math, what you'll notice, I'm going to use my hands here. Hopefully this comes across because I can't draw this. But the 100,000 at 4% interest, as you pay that down, the interest gets smaller and smaller, right? You start at 100,000. By the time you get to 90,000, you're not paying as much interest, right? When you get to 80,000, you're not paying as much. It keeps going down. Whereas the 100 over here, even after the first year, if you only get $3,000 or whatever, the next year you're getting 3% on $103,000. And then the next year you get 3% on that bigger part. And that starts compounding in your favor that way. And if we took this out, we really did the math, I encourage you to do that or have me do that for you when in an actual spreadsheet. What you would see is if you compare the amount of time it takes you to take that 100,000 and pay it down to zero, and you take that same 100,000, you let it grow for that same amount of time, the interest you earn on that 100,000, even at 3% over here, is going to be more than the interest that you pay at 4% with the house. So that kind of leads to, if you have some equity in your home, let's say your home is worth 200,000, you only owe 100,000 on it. You could theoretically, as long as you qualify and all that kind of thing, you could qualify for, what would that be? 160,000, 80% of your home value that you could get a new mortgage for. They'd require you to pay off the old mortgage, right? So you take that 160,000, you'd pay off the 100,000 on the old mortgage, you'd have 60,000 left. But so here's what that starts to look like here. I'm going to try to erase all that I've gotten. What if then, so now you're up to 160,000. Doesn't like my 6. 160. I'm gonna try this one more time. 6. That's a 6. 160,000. Maybe I don't like it correcting my drawings. And that you owe in your mortgage, and you've got 60,000 over here that you can do stuff with. Now, if this is right, like the last time I checked, talking to a mortgage guy, and he told me how much, if you've got good credit, how much a refi is going for right now. It was 3.5%. Could be different if you have a condo or something like that, but 3.5%. What would it take to grow over here in order to make it worth it? I don't know off the top of my head. That's one of the things to consider. What would you do with the 60? What kind of bucket would you put in? How could you make sure that you get a safe, predictable, reliable growth of that money? Or on the other hand, what if instead of investing that money, or saving it somewhere safe, you actually used it to not go $60,000 into credit card debt during this time? And credit card debt could be 9 or 19 or 29% interest. Wouldn't that 3.5% be worth it, right? Compared to an alternative like that. And then think of the other alternative where actually there's a couple more. One would be where the interest rates on mortgages go up in the soon, because so many people are defaulting on their mortgages or even putting them in forbearance where they're not making payments for a while. Mortgage companies are still going to need to make money. And so they will maybe possibly increase interest rates. But if you've locked in 3.5% at your max 80% home value, then when interest rates go up, you're not going to be thinking, well, I wish I would have refinanced then because I can't refinance now, and I wish I would have that money, right? So it puts that 60,000 liquid and available for you in case you might need it sometime over the next few months or next few years. And so you could save it somewhere safe. And even if you're getting 3%, right, in like a high yield savings account, or you're using grandma's strategy and seeing some longer term ramifications of doing this kind of strategy, there could be some really awesome things that happen. Now, let me erase those drawings because they got kind of out of hand there. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about. And 3.5% interest on a mortgage. Typically, we think of inflation being about 3%. So when you're thinking about 3.5% interest and you're thinking about the time value of money, 3% of average inflation, you're really only paying 0.5% of interest on that on your home, right? Because your home value might go up 3%. That money that you put into, the walls of your home by paying off your mortgage more quickly, that could have grown 3% just in its buying power. All kinds of things like that you also have to think about. But I'm getting a little too technical now. I want to bring this back to if you're a homeowner, this is a really great time to think about what it is that your home brings to you. The kind of traditional long-term thinking about your home is that it's a place to build equity, to grow your wealth. And that might not be the case for a lot of people anymore. That used to be the case for a really long time, right? Home values only went up. But we got a pretty big reality shock in 2008, 2007, 2008, 2009, when lots of people saw their home values go down. And what they thought was a safe place to build their wealth turned out to not be, and actually turned out to be a liability. Even when their property value went down, they still had to pay the mortgage for that new home value, or for the old home value that they got the mortgage at first. So that, I think, is really important to consider when you're thinking about, is your home an asset or is it a liability? And how can you turn it into an asset instead of a liability without having to do like house hacking, which maybe you do. Maybe that's how you get through this crisis. You rent out a room in your home. Or maybe you decide, oh, I don't know if I want a stranger coming to live with me that could have coronavirus. Maybe house hacking isn't the way to go. Up to you, right? But what are some other ways that you could turn your home into an asset versus a liability? And maybe doing this kind of cash out refinance is an option. And they're actually, because so many people are trying to do these refinances right now, or even just buy homes, different things, they're trying to pass some laws to make it even easier for you to do that electronically and not have to go in actually like sign paperwork in person. I don't know all the details there, but I know for us, we just bought a home in March and we did almost the whole process electronically. There was just one time we had to sign some papers. So that, and I think that even that time they're trying to switch over to being something you don't have to do in person right now. So I'm going to collect my thoughts for a second. If you have questions, comments, ideas, would love to, actually, I got it. Let's say worst case scenario, you you do a cash out refinance of your home, and then the worst thing happens, you lose your job, you lose your source of income. Guess what you have now? You've got a bucket of money, right? A certain portion of your home's value that you can use to help pay your mortgage for you. Whereas if you didn't do the cash out refi, it probably wouldn't have impacted that you lost your job, right? You still would have lost your job. And then you're not going to qualify to refinance your mortgage because you don't have any income, and you have to show income to do a refinance of your mortgage, whether cash out or not. And so now you're obligated to pay those mortgage payments, but you don't have any cash on the side. I mean, maybe, hopefully you're smart. You've got that emergency fund set up, but what if that emergency fund was a lot bigger? Wouldn't that help you feel more safe? So kind of the question to ask yourself is it more important for me to have my home paid off? Or is it more important for me to be able to make my mortgage payments when I need to without worry, or to be able to pay off my home whenever I want to, but I choose not to because I want that money growing for me in some other way rather than trapped in the walls of my home? And then you always, there kind of, you might say, well, if I lost my job, I would just sell my home. But chances are, if you're losing your job, there could be something that is making people not go buy homes at that time, kind of like a coronavirus crisis, right? A worldwide pandemic. If people are losing their jobs, there's not a lot of people out there to buy homes. So you can't really count on being able to sell that asset. Whereas if you have cash in the bank, you totally can count on that cash in the bank or in a bank-like financial tool that you can get your cash from whenever you need, right? That might be safer than a bank. Don't know what I'm talking about there, hit me up, I'll let you know. And yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say about your home. I'm going to just summarize this again. When you make payments on your home and they reduce the principal of your home, you're not earning any interest. You're not making any money. You're just reducing how much you have to pay on your principal of your mortgage. And then the equity in your home is not liquid. Literally, or not literally, figuratively, cash is locked in the walls of your house as you pay down the principal of your mortgage. And that equity in your home is not guaranteed. We've learned this as recently as the Great Recession. It can be a shock to many when the real estate market, whether on a larger scale or within your local community, can go down rather than always going up. And then I didn't even talk about this, but taxes. There's some tax benefits to paying down a mortgage that if you paid off your mortgage, you're not going to get anymore. So that's also something to consider. So let's go back. Your home is where you are right now, most likely. I hope you're not watching this from a coffee shop or while you're shopping for groceries or what have you. Your home is your safe place. It's also the place where you can go wild. What about your bucket of money? What about whatever wealth you're building? Is that a safe place for you to feel comfortable, secure, that you can be your true self? Or is that a place where you're like, I feel lost. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm putting my money somewhere and I'm trusting the people that I give it to, but I don't really understand what's happening. Wouldn't you want your money to be more like your home, the place that like maybe your home, like you could walk around when the lights are off, you wouldn't stumble and fall, right? Hopefully. But you might not know like how to fix the electrical. You trust some experts to do that. You might not be able to replace a pipe on the plumbing, right? Some of those more technical things you might get some outside perspective on, but your home better than anybody. You get to make the decisions about I am going to fix the electrical, or I want to change this part of the plumbing, or I want to bust down this wall or do that. What if you could do that with your money too? What if you could say, okay, this is what I want this money to do for me, and I'm going to hire this technician to help me do it, but I ultimately want to be in control and make sure they're doing a good job. And then over here, I want this money to be doing this for me, and I have this, exact plan that I want for it, and I'm going to hire a technician to do that for me. Make sure it's done properly, but I need to oversee it and make sure it's done well, and that it's not going to bust a leak or screw up in this way, shape, or form. There's actually a lot that we can think about when we think about our home and our money, and we kind of compare and contrast our wealth that we're building, the home that we feel safe and secure in, and how our wealth it's not. I don't want this to sound like I'm saying your wealth is your security blanket. Even your home's not really your security blanket. There's a higher power at work, if you believe in that kind of thing, which I do. I trust in that being to provide for me, to take care of me. But he's also given me the critical capacity to think for myself and to make sure I'm being a good steward of my home and of my wealth. And when I'm being a good steward of my home, that doesn't necessarily mean that I've paid off my debt, that I don't have a mortgage. It means I could pay my mortgage even if I lost my income, right? Same with my wealth. My wealth is, I'm being a good steward of my wealth when I do things like use debt wisely, and I do the math and I think through the things that I am doing rather than just hand them off to somebody and hope and pray that they do a good job, right? And that actually puts my trust in that higher power. I call him God. That puts that trust in a different place than like I believe he's looking at me and saying, yeah, you're taking this seriously. You're being a good steward of your money. You're not just handing it off to some person on Wall Street that you have no idea what they're doing, or the guy down the street that you just drop the check off to and you never check in with. You don't really even know what it's doing. I feel like that being a good steward is knowing what my money is doing for me, having a plan for it and a strategy in place that I can know and believe and trust that it's doing a really great job and it's doing good things in the world, that it's ethical at the same time. So I kind of went into a place I didn't plan to go to at the end here. I just want to wrap up by saying, these kinds of things to learn about and think about can be really critical, particularly when you're in a crisis. And whether you're watching this as it's live or shortly after the recording post, and we're still in the midst of the coronavirus crisis, it's a great time to be thinking about your home, what the value of your home is, how you're using your home as a tool to build wealth, not just trusting the equity of the home to build your wealth. And it's also a great time to look at the things like your emergency fund, your retirement fund, your saving for vacation, like all those things. How is that money working for you, and how can you make it work smarter for you? And That's why we're making these videos, to help you think through this. We're not telling you what to do. This is not individualized advice. We're giving you some thoughts to think about, some questions to ask, and then you can go and ask those questions of yourself, of the people you trust. You can reach out to us and say, hey, let me tell you my unique situation and tell me, some things I should be thinking about in this unique situation. We'd love to do that. We do that with people all the time. If that's something you'd like, kind of the outside third-party perspective, you just go to grandmaswealthwisdom.com, you click request a meeting, you schedule an exploratory meeting with us, and we'll see if we're a good fit together and if we could help you. If you have any questions, it's a great time to ask questions, get our kind of gut reaction to them, or maybe some resources. We've got tons of resources and calculators and things that we'd love to share with you and help you figure out how to implement to break through to a stable financial future and really take more control of your own financial future. Take that into your own hands rather than just trusting someone else with it. And Brandon just reminded me that the last thing I want to just ask is that you subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, that you like our page if you're watching this on Facebook, and that way you get the next videos. We're doing this live every single day for the month of April at 8 p.m. Eastern, every single day. That's the one time that I could do every single day this month. So that's how we're doing it. So be sure you hit subscribe or like if you're on YouTube or Facebook. And then as you're there, share. Copy the link, send it to someone that you know, post it on your timeline. If you know someone that owns a home, this might be a great video to share with them. I know there's lots of people that own homes out there, so I'm sure you can think of someone. Please share. We thank you in advance, and we look forward to chatting with you again tomorrow. Take care and stay well.